Welcome in. This is Ricky's Mailbag. You could like and subscribe over here. You could also catch me on Unfiltered with Bill Colarulo and Silvana Kelleher. That's Monday through Friday, 2 to 6 on 97.5 The Fanatic, 97.5thefanatic.com, and NBC Sports Philadelphia. I'm here with Dylan McKinnon. He's got questions from you, the people. We're going to try to answer them with the best of our ability here.
Okay, this one is from Jason. Should the Phillies be looking to move on from Max Kepler?
Wow, that's a heck of a question. I would say he's kind of on that borderline. He may be that guy that's teeter-tottering right now that you might say to yourself, well, he's starting to show some power right now. He was robbed once in the Padres series, also hit a big bomb in the last game of the Padres series. So maybe his bat might be starting to wake up a little bit, and they need it. I mean, they need somebody else to hit some home runs. The one thing you're not getting from Kepler is average. He's not getting on base nearly enough. And the other thing is, though, he's very versatile. You can move this guy from left field, center field. He's played some right field here as of late. I think he's pretty much the least right now of the worries in the outfield. And what I mean by that is the Marsh-Rojas situation. And then you have Kepler. I mean, obviously, Nick Castellanos is one of those guys that for as long as he's here, he's going to be the starting right fielder. So that doesn't turn into much. But with Max Kepler, I think you just need more run production. You need the RBIs. You need the home runs from this guy. He's got to start slugging a little bit more. And by that being said, he hasn't done it. And we're sitting here in the beginning of July, and the trade deadline is 3 weeks away. I think he's one of those guys that who knows what could happen to him. Do I think they should move on from him? Not definitively. I think people are just like, let's move on. There's nobody in the minor leagues. We've seen Buddy Kennedy. We've seen Weston Wilson. Otto Kemp could play out there a little bit, but you got Otto Kemp that's going to be filling in at third base and first base because of the question marks with Harper. There's a lot going on that I would even get down to Kepler before I even would think about it, unless he's like a fill-in a trade somewhere where a team needs a left-handed bat. But right now, I think you don't really have that type of situation where you just say we're going to get rid of Max Kepler. No.
Okay, Frank wants to know, why are baseball players so dumb now? See Brandon Marsh yesterday, but it's not just him. I feel like every time I watch a game, someone's doing something dumb.
Well, it's not. Let me put it this way: it's not just the Phillies.
Yeah.
If you watch this Padres series, this was out of control. The Padres were absolutely horrible running the bases. I saw Fernando Tatis, Manny Machado. I saw Xander Bogaerts all dogging it to first base on ground balls. When I say dogging it, I'm talking half walking down to first base. Like, oh, I made an out, no big deal. I'm just going to, mosey my way down there, let them call me out and go back to the dugout. Anything could happen. If you think about it, you bust it down to first base, you might get a bad throw. You might get somebody to force something. You might get an error. Just anything could happen. The other thing is Bogaerts hit one off the wall the other day. Should have been an easy stand-up triple. He's standing at home plate watching the ball, ends up gliding into second base. That, to me, is not good. The Phillies running the bases, I think they're careless. And any way you slice that, that's not a good thing. That's not good fundamental baseball. And here's my reason, what I think. I think that position players are so caught up in just being able to hit the baseball and being able to put up numbers offensively. That's all they seem to care about these days. Major League Baseball has given them this little cushion, this nice little teddy bear, that there's no errors called in baseball, which I think might be the most pathetic thing I've ever seen in my life. Because I played with guys like Rico Brogna, Scott Rowland. I've watched guys like Ozzie Smith. These guys were legitimate, great defensive players, and they're trying to fool you, the fans, is what they're trying to do. Because at the end of the season, when it comes down to it, what will they say? Oh, we have one of the greatest defensive seasons in the history of baseball. Why? Because your official scores suck. That's why. And it's gotten to the point where it's extremely pathetic. And I think Major League Baseball should look into defense being something that's actually looked at instead of overlooked. Don't let them fool you.
Okay, Rob wants to know, Eugenio Suarez is rumored to be someone on the trade market. Any interest in him? You can move Bohm to first base and Harper to the outfield.
Yeah, you know what? I'm not so sure about the Harper to the outfield. I know what you're saying. I think that's a big time thought process. And it's not a bad. I mean, it's a good guy to get over here. He would fit right in this offense. But the other thing you got to think about, Bryce Harper is now coming off of a wrist injury. I mean, do you really want to move him to the outfield? Do you really want him to start moving around right now, having to do extra work during the day, to go out in the outfield and basically relearn the positions? I don't think the Phillies are going to do that. I think unless they were to get a first baseman that's going to blow your socks off, maybe a Reese Hoskins. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. I just think he's going to stay put at first base. He said he would be willing to move if they got a first baseman over there that he would be willing to move for. But I don't think just for anybody that he's going to say, all right, it's time to move back in the outfield. I think people look at transitions as that simple. That's why they have bench players that play different positions. We've seen Edmundo Sosa go out there and kind of struggle a little bit out in left field. It's not the easiest thing to do, changing positions. Everything's different. The surroundings are different. The feel is different. Your fielding is different. Your throwing is different. Everything is a little bit different and it's going to be magnified if he goes back out there to see what kind of outfielder he still is. So to me, it's one of those moves that would be a desperation move for the Phillies. So I don't think that's going to happen.
Okay, this kind of plays into what you were talking about earlier with the poor defense and the lack of errors being called. But Sue wants to know, is it easier or harder to be a pitcher in today's game?
It's different. Reason why I say that is there's certain types of pitchers that will be good in this game. And I think I'm going to use Ranger Suarez as an example. If you watch the way Ranger Suarez pitches, he is a pitcher. He's not a thrower. Now you could split the league in half because you have half throwers, half pitchers. The Phillies have Ranger, they have Wheeler, they have Sanchez, and Luzardo, who are all pitchers in the starting rotation. They know how to throw on the inside part of the plate. They also know how to expand the zone. And when you could expand the zone, and Ranger has done this extremely well in his last 3 starts, he will get somebody to go after a pitch on the plate, a changeup maybe, then throw another changeup 3 inches off the plate, maybe get a swing there, then go 6 inches off the plate. That's what they mean by expanding the zone. Now, back in the day, I will say this much. I think the strike zone is much more accommodating right now to the pitchers than it used to be. If we threw a fastball up near under chest high, it was a ball. Now everything is called a strike up there. Guys would not swing at those pitches back then. We literally had a strike zone from the top of the knees to the waist. And that's not a joke. You can go back and look at it. Rarely did you get a call above that, and rarely did you get a call below that. I think nowadays it's a bigger strike zone, so maybe a little bit easier for the strikeouts in baseball than anything else. But I mean, it's hard to compare generations because when I was going through Major League Baseball, it was a bunch of steroid heads. So these guys were, number one, they could wait longer on the ball. And that means more power because the later you see a pitch, the later you're going to react to it, the further it's going to go, more backspin you get on the ball. So it was just 2 different worlds. But I would say the strike zone is much better now for the pitchers, where before the strike zone was minuscule.
And finally, Dave wants to know, it's World Series Game 7, game's on the line. Who do you want up at the plate, Harper or Schwarber?
Ooh. Game on the line. I will say this much. Bryce Harper is the showman. Bryce Harper steps up in certain situations, especially when it's a big-time situation. Schwarber, on the other hand, if you need a big home run, I mean, he's your go-to. So there's kind of 2 answers to this question. If you're talking about a tie game or Phillies down by a run with runners on second and third, I think Bryce Harper might be the guy because he can go gap to gap with the best of them and he could hit line drives a little bit more. I think Schwarber's the type of guy that if you need a big 3-run home run, you're down 2 runs, I think I'd go to him in that type of situation. Thank goodness you don't really have to make that call because they're both going to be in a lineup in that type of situation. Just whatever the lineup is what's going to dictate that situation. But when you think of Bryce Harper, he's been very clutch, especially in playoff situations. You can go back to that series against the Padres back 3 years ago when he hit that big home run to left center field to basically put the Phillies into the World Series. But I mean, on the other hand, you got a guy in Kyle Schwarber that any pitch that's thrown up there, you never know if that thing's going to end up in the seats. So I think it's kind of a toss-up, and I think you have to go by the situation that you're sitting in at that point. All right, this was Ricky's Mailbag. Send your questions in, like and subscribe down here. Also, you can catch me, Silvana Kelleher, Bill Colarulo on Unfiltered, 2 to 6 Monday through Friday on 97.5 The Fanatic, 97.5thefanatic.com, and NBC Sports Philadelphia. Thanks for watching Unfiltered on YouTube. You could like and subscribe down here. You could also see our other shows over here. Go ahead and watch them all. We love when you watch. The one thing, hey, you could also catch us on 97.5 The Fanatic, 97.5thefanatic.com, and NBC Sports Philadelphia. See you there.